You won't believe what went down in my neighborhood. An 8-year-old girl ended up struck in the head with a baseball bat by a man pretending to be a neighborhood enforcer. The part he didn't know? Who her father was, and he was about to find out. Before we get into it, drop a comment with the country you're watching from. I want to see how far this story spreads. It began on a calm Saturday morning. I was in the front yard, trimming hedges, when I spotted a man pacing near the sidewalk. He wore a black vest with big block letters across the back that read Community Patrol. At a glance, he looked legitimate. Clipboard under his arm, radio clipped to his chest, but something felt off. His vehicle wasn't marked. The vest looked flimsy, and the patch on the front was peeling at the edges, like something bought online. His name, I'd later learn, was Trevor Holt. He wasn't on any association board, and definitely not with the police. He was just an angry neighbor who had decided to play sheriff, passing out fake tickets and intimidating families. That morning, Trevor's focus shifted to the Alvarez family across the street. Their young daughter, Sophia, was wobbling down the driveway on her bike, a pink helmet bouncing as she laughed, trying to keep her balance. She wasn't causing trouble, just a kid enjoying the weekend. But Trevor stomped toward her, barking about riding on restricted property. I froze where I stood, rake still in my hands as the situation spiraled. Her dad, Gabriel Alvarez, wasn't home yet. Her mom was inside with their toddler. Sophia tried to pedal away, startled and confused. That's when Trevor snapped. He pulled a bat from the back of his truck and swung, not at the bike, but at her head. The crack rang out like a gunshot. Sophia crumpled to the pavement, still, blood running from her temple. My gut twisted as neighbors screamed. I dropped the rake and bolted. But Trevor stood there smug, chest out, hollering about rules and authority. He genuinely thought he was right. By the time someone had called an ambulance and people crowded around, Trevor was actually scribbling notes on his clipboard, as if this was standard procedure. He didn't hear the roar of Gabriel's black pickup storming down the street. He didn't realize the man whose daughter he had just assaulted wasn't just any father. Gabriel Alvarez was a seasoned investigator with the county sheriff's office, a man who had no tolerance for criminals, least of all one who dared lay a hand on his child. And Trevor was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Gabriel's truck skidded to a stop so hard the rubber screamed against the asphalt, leaving black scars on the street. He was out of the cab before the wheels even stilled, badge clipped at his hip, fury carved deep into his features. He shoved through the ring of neighbors and dropped to his knees beside Sophia. The medics had just arrived, carefully easing her onto a stretcher. Her little hand slipped limp over the edge until Gabriel caught it, gripping tight. His voice trembled, but steady words slipped out. "Papa's here, Mia. You're going to be okay." When he rose, the air around him changed. He was no longer just a terrified father. He was an investigator whose daughter had just been attacked in front of witnesses. His gaze locked on Trevor, who still clutched the bat like some kind of prize. "Put it down," Gabriel said, voice low but cutting through the noise like glass. Trevor sneered. "I'm operating under community authority. That girl was breaking the rules. I had every right." The excuse barely left his mouth before Gabriel surged forward. In one motion, he ripped the bat free and slammed Trevor back against the side of his own truck. His face hovered inches from Trevor's, jaw tight, eyes blazing. "You struck my daughter, and you think a vest and clipboard make you the law? You're nothing but a thug." Gasps rippled through the crowd, phones raised high, the whole street recording the confrontation. Trevor's false confidence began to crumble. He puffed himself up once more, sputtering, "I was just enforcing neighborhood codes. You don't intimidate me." That's when Gabriel pulled his badge from his belt and pressed it hard against Trevor's chest. "You should be intimidated, because I'm not just her father. I'm Detective Gabriel Alvarez, and you just committed assault on a child. My child." The color drained from Trevor's face. He darted glances around at the semicircle of neighbors. Every phone camera trained on him, every lens capturing his collapse. "Wait," he stammered. "It was an accident. I didn't mean." Gabriel cut him off, snapping toward a deputy who had just arrived. "Cuff him. Now." The deputy hesitated only a second before clamping the steel around Trevor's wrists. Panic spilled from Trevor's voice as he struggled. "You can't arrest me. I'm with the association. I've got rights." Gabriel leaned close, his words sharp as a blade. "You're not with anyone. You're a fraud in a bargain vest. And the only right you've got now is the right to stay quiet." The crowd buzzed in disbelief and grim satisfaction. For months, Trevor had prowled the streets, bullying families, trespassing on lawns, tossing out fake fines. Now the facade had been torn apart, right there in daylight. And Gabriel wasn't finished. Arresting him was step one. He would make certain Trevor answered for every threat, Every lie, every moment of fear he'd inflicted. The man in the vest was about to learn what it meant to cross both a detective and a father. Gabriel held him down on the curb until the deputies shoved him into the back of the squad car. The vest and plastic badge lay discarded in the gutter, soaked in dust and humiliation. Neighbors who had once bitten their tongues now stepped forward, offering testimony, handing over videos, and recounting months, years for some, of intimidation. The mask slipped fast. Trevor wasn't a community officer. No such role existed. Under federal statute, impersonating a government official is a crime, and swinging a bat at an 8-year-old, that was felony assault with a deadly weapon, carrying prison time no judge could sweep aside. Gabriel stood tall, badge clipped where all could see. He wasn't just a father burning with rage anymore. He was an investigator committed to justice. Make sure every second of that footage reaches the district attorney, he instructed the deputies. And add charges for child endangerment and false authority. In the back of the cruiser, Trevor fought against the cuffs, voice cracking. You can't lock me up. I was protecting this place. I was the law here. Gabriel leaned toward the open door, his words steady, owned like a blade. The law doesn't wear cheap vests and attack children with bats. You're going to answer for every threat, every bruise, every lie you spread. The crowd murmured in agreement. Mothers who once cowered at Trevor's clipboard now spoke freely. Fathers stepped forward, shaking Gabriel's hand. One neighbor lifted his phone and announced, "It's live right now. Thousands are watching." The paramedics loaded Sophia into the ambulance, her face pale but her pulse steady. Gabriel climbed in after her, fingers closing gently around her small hand. "Papa's not leaving," he whispered. "Not now. Not ever." As the doors shut, he caught Trevor's gaze through the cruiser window. Gone was the swagger. Gone was the false authority. Only a hollow man remained, staring at the weight of the charges pressing down on him. Within hours, the sheriff's department issued a formal release. Trevor Holt, 42, had been booked on multiple counts: felony assault with a deadly weapon, impersonation of an officer, child endangerment, and obstruction of justice. Bail was denied due to the violent nature of the crime. Clips of the arrest flooded social media. By nightfall, local outlets had picked it up. The so-called community cop was revealed for what he truly was: a bully in a costume vest, and his collapse went viral. In court, Gabriel testified not just as Sophia's father, but as a detective who had crossed paths with men like Trevor before, men who mistook fear for authority. The jury needed less than an hour, guilty on every charge. Trevor Holt was sentenced to 25 years in state prison. Gabriel's daughter pulled through after surgery and weeks of therapy. The marks on her body would fade, but the memory remained etched. Yet something unexpected grew from the ordeal. The neighborhood itself hardened into a shield around the family. People who once looked away stepped up, determined never to let fear silence them again. In the end, the pretender who wrapped himself in false authority learned the steep price of playing at power. And the man who dared to strike a child discovered, far too late, that some fathers don't play fair. They fight until justice isn't just served, but branded deep, lasting, and unforgettable. Do you think Gabriel's response was enough? Or should Trevor have faced even more? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all and want to hear your take. If you believe those who abuse fake power deserve real punishment, hit like and share what you would have done if this had unfolded on your street. That's the exact word-for-word repetition of your text. Would you like me to also provide it in a single block paragraph, no line breaks at all, so you can copy-paste smoothly for social media?